Hello everyone, welcome back to Ramon at Home. I'm so excited you're here today because in this video I'm gonna share with you over 10 fall DIYs for your front door, and I'm gonna show you how to make a statement on your front door this fall. I really do believe that you get one chance to make a statement this fall season, and that is at the front door. So that's why I'm gonna give you step-by-step instructions on how to make beautiful fall wreaths, swags, and all kinds of things that are really going to wow your guests when they first get to your front door. And now I want to take a second to thank this week's brand new members, and that's going to be Rebecca Shaw, Sharia Johnson, and Lynn Basby. Yay! Thank you ladies so much for becoming a new member to this channel. If you want to become a new member, all you have to do is click the join button somewhere here on the screen under the video and on the main page, and there's also going to be a link in the description box below so you too can claim the perks that come with becoming a new member here on the channel, and you can get also your little badge by your name. All right, you guys, well, without further ado, we're gonna get started with this fall wreath and swag DIYs, and I'm gonna share with you how to create a statement with a beautiful fall swag that I think you're gonna like. Let's watch. All right, everyone, so my intention with this swag is to show you that you do not have to spend a whole bunch of money, and that with just a few items you can really create something gorgeous for your door that is going to last you all fall season, all the way through Thanksgiving. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by fluffing my Christmas garland or my Christmas teardrop swag. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some of these bristles, and you can go ahead and just point them up. And you want to make it as fluffy as you can. I love working, if you've been following this channel, you know that I love working with greeneries for fall and for spring and all year round. Instead of working with, you know, those wired dollar store purchased wreath forms, you can buy one of these and it can last you all year round. All you have to do is invest in one, and then you'll have a base. This is what we call in the industry a basic garland. This would be a basic teardrop swag garland. It's basic because you're supposed to embellish it. It's just the base for your design, and so basically you just touch every single one of those little bristles and you come up with something kind of like this. All right, so once you have fluffed it, what you're going to do is hang it right here on your stand. If you don't have one of these stands, this is a funeral spray stand that you can buy at any floral supply store or any florist, because when they send out a beautiful spray, they send one of these stands. All right, so far so good. It looks good, it's fluffy, and it is ready for the next step, which would be to add our second garland. Now this one, you do have to take a second to fluff it a little better because it's very sparse, but look how flat it looks, and just by touching every single wire on this swag and giving it a fluff and then bringing it forward, look how those Chinese lanterns just went like that, and then you lift this up. Every single wire has product in it, so you have to make sure, like this sunflower's facing up, I want to bring it up, I want to give it some life. Look at this little branch right here. I want it to come forward because we're going to intertwine it with the basic greenery, and we don't want to lose any of this product because, well, you already paid for it, so why not, might as well just use it, right? So you want to make sure that you fluff all of this all the way down. Like this sunflower, you don't even see it right here. Look at this little bud. Go ahead and bring it up. These Chinese lanterns right here, bring them up all the way to your base. And look at that, how much product you were missing. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put my basic garland right here, and then grabbing two of those bristles, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab two and twist them into the form right here, just like that. And that's going to give us the base to leave it there and start fluffing all of our beautiful items into this swag. And you want to do one more down here on the bottom. Just make sure that you really press so it goes against that greenery. Look how beautiful that is. And it gives you more girth. It's gonna look more beautiful on your door than if you were just to put this one right here. It would look really scrawny and very unintentional. But now by adding all of this product, look at that, you have pine cones, you have sunflowers, you have some little branches, you have Chinese lanterns, you have buds. Once you have it there, be sure to fluff it, bring out some of these items that got flat between How pretty is this? I love it. All right, so the next step would be to make a bow. But before I make a bow, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and give these some tails because we're gonna use them later on. So I'm gonna go ahead and just drop it on the floor like I always do. And I'm gonna cut some tails that are, I don't know, about probably like a yard. So 2 yards of ribbon. I'm gonna put my ribbon right here so I don't lose it. And what you're going to do is you're gonna pinch this guy right here, and you're gonna go in here and you're gonna grab one of those bristles, and you're just gonna go ahead and attach that ribbon right there. And so now what we're gonna start doing is we're gonna start looping this ribbon and making loops of ribbon. And just attaching with your garland, just like if it was a Christmas tree. Look at that. And we wanna make sure that we go on the outside. So I'm gonna make sure that I go flat like this, and then you pinch, you grab a spot right here, you swirl some of that, making sure you don't lose all of your product, like this right here. And then we're gonna give it another pinch right here. I'm gonna bring it like this, and using my bristles, just go ahead and give it a swirl like that. And I'm gonna repeat, remember what happens on the left happens on the right. It doesn't matter what you're doing. If you follow that rule, you're always going to have a balance because you're telling your brain, I already did this on the left, now I have to do it on the right. Like this, and then I'm gonna bring it forward like this. I'm gonna give it another loop. Then I'm gonna attach all the way to the bottom, like so. And look at that, that gives you ribbon all throughout the swag, and I'm gonna do the same with this right here. Making sure I don't lose those Chinese lanterns because you wanna make sure that you have all this product. Look at that, and the reason I wanted it on the side is because now what we're going to do is we're gonna do a bow, and I'm gonna give it a tail, probably about that long, about half a yard, and I'm gonna do a cute little bow. If you guys don't know how to make a bow, there is a video on the channel already on how to make bows. It is super informational, and if you haven't checked it out, I'm gonna put it in the iCard right here so you can see it's very detailed. But I wanna do a bow real quick with this. I'm gonna do probably like a, I wanna say a 6-loop bow. And one of the things is that you do have to alternate sizes. Like you guys can see, they're staggering right here. And then you also have to twist your bow so it starts shaping into a bow. I'm gonna do one more right here. I'm gonna twist. I want it to be really, really full. And I think that's plenty. And once you have cut your ribbon, what you need to do is grab one of your wires, pull it through the middle loop right here, and then we're gonna attach in the back, and we're gonna make sure that it's really tight like this, and just give it a spin like this, and that allows you to go ahead and fluff your bow. Make sure you have loops going every way, and the middle one's in the middle. Super simple. Super duper duper simple. All right, so now with my wire that I have right here, I'm gonna bring this right here to the top, making sure this sunflower still shows. I'm gonna unhook it, and then I'm gonna bring this bow, and I'm going to just swirl it into one of the bristles, and that's gonna stay in place like that. And now with these tails, what I wanna do is I wanna go ahead and do a few more of these loops that we did. And I'm gonna add that right there. And I need to rescue some of these elements. Remember to always fluff, because you want all of these elements to show, as you can see. And then I'm gonna just dovetail this one right here. How fun and how easy, you guys, and super fast. You can create this swag, and your neighbors are going to be so jealous because you have a custom-made, one-of-a-kind swag for fall. All right, we'll give this a fluff before we hang it on the door to show you. So I'm gonna dovetail this right here as well. All right, so now what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm gonna make sure that this sunflower shows because she's kind of like the star of the show. And look at all these loops right here. How beautiful is this? All right, so now that I have all my sunflowers showing, my pine cones, all of these right here showing, look how bountiful, and look, this just looks so full. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to wire your ornaments. So what you're going to do is you're gonna grab one of these wires, put it right here through, and then just go ahead and give it a little spin. And now you have all of this wire to hang on to your ornament. So I have pre-wired all of these ones right here. What I'm going to do is I'm gonna go ahead, just like with a Christmas tree, I'm gonna go in here, I'm gonna pull one of these bristles and I'm gonna give it just a little spin. Look, that'll stay right there. Then I'm gonna add, I have two kinds. I'm gonna add another one of these and I'm gonna add it right here. Probably by this pine cone, but I remember to go all the way in into your swag so it looks like it's intentional. Grab that bristle and just give it a spin and look at that. That'll stay right here. So I'm gonna add one right here. I'm gonna add this shiny one. Actually, no, I'm gonna add the sparkly one because you also want to alternate, make sure that you have enough of all of the ornaments. So I'm gonna add right here. I'm gonna grab my bristle, just give it a little spin with that wire. Look at that. It'll stay right there. All right, so now right here, I feel like I need one to fill in. Grab a bristle. And twist it into place. And I need another one right here, so I'm gonna add maybe one of these shiny ones. And I'm gonna make sure that I go all the way in like this. So I have ornament all the way down. A swag is a really good alternative if you don't want to use a wreath on your front door. It is unexpected and it really does create a statement this fall season. Right now, I'm gonna share with you another fall DIY for your front door that is really going to create a beautiful statement and it's a little different. Let's watch. Okay, step number one to get this gorgeous Cornucopia wreath hung on our door is going to be to get our mechanics ready. If you've been following the channel, you know that I like to buy little bags of rock like this for when I'm making arrangements. They have a weight to it, especially this one that is going to go on the door. So this is just $1 at the dollar store. And because I like to recycle them, I'm just gonna go ahead and drop it right there. That's gonna give it enough weight so that wind doesn't push the Cornucopia anywhere. So it's just gonna be sitting there. Now the next thing is that I'm going to go ahead and put some foam on my container. This is made out of paper mache, especially for florists, and you can find this at any florist, a supply store, as well as this foam that is just for floral design. It's not like your green foam that crumbles. This is actually specifically designed for floristry, and you can find all of this from Shinoda Design Center as well. And what I liked about this container is because it just goes perfectly there, so I can work either with it inside or outside, and I'm gonna go ahead and work with it inside so I can see where my greeneries are going. So number one is going to be to fill in with some of this, and I have my hot glue pen right here. So I'm going to add some of this, and remember, what goes up must come down. And I want this to spill forward because I feel like it's going to look prettier that way if we have it spilling forward at the doors. So I'm gonna start with these two corners right here. Then I'm going to insert one on the very top so I can have some height like this, giving it a little twist. So that's going to determine a little bit of my height, and I just want to make sure that I fill in some of these gaps and starts looking like a greenery job like this. Then I'm gonna go ahead and go over to this corner. Just make sure that you distribute your greeneries all throughout your arrangement so that way it's full. I'm going to introduce now this really pretty lens here, and for that I'm gonna go ahead and add a little pick, a steel pick. If you don't have a steel pick machine, you can find one on Amazon.com, or you can also find it at any floor supply vendor. And I just love this thing because it gives it that little pick of steel, and it really helps it hang on to the foam. It's an investment. This is for if you have a business where you do florals, and I really do recommend to get one because, well, you want to provide the best service for your customers. But if you're just doing it for your home, and if you want to recycle it, then no need for it. All right, so two, I'm gonna add another one right here, doing that triangle that we'll always talk about in floral design. And you know what, by the way, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up so that I know that you are enjoying this fall season. I'm having so much fun already showing you guys all of these designs for fall, and I cannot wait to continue and going into the Christmas season. You guys know that we love our Christmas decorating here at Ramon at home. And this year is just gonna be filled with ideas. I cannot wait. But meanwhile, we're gonna continue to do some fall decorating. All right, so now that we have all of our greenery in place, I'm gonna bring some of this olive on the outside, making sure that it's all over the place. See, and I have another one that I'm gonna put right here. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm gonna get my florals ready and I'll be right back with you. Okay, so I have this pick that is actually a Christmas pick that I used on one of my Christmas trees last year. And I'm gonna go ahead and give it a little cut right there. And I want it to be the one that is the tallest. I'm gonna give it yet another cut. You want to determine about how much you're going to put in and how much you want it to spill out. So that's just about too much. I'm not gonna do a pick on this one because the stem is pretty thick, but I am going to add some of this glue and I'm going to add this right here on the top. And look at that, that just gave it a little height and some sparkle. And I have a second one that I'm actually going to cut into pieces. So I'm gonna do probably like, I wanna say 3 out of the 1. You know, I'm always telling you, don't be afraid to cut your stems because, well, you already paid for them and might as well just do whatever it is that you need to do to get the right height and the right look for your decor, instead of just trying to put it back into a box. So I'm gonna bring one here. Now that we have the tallest one, we have to start scaling down in a step ladder motion. So I'm gonna go ahead and put one right here to make sure that I have this type of greenery or foliage all throughout my arrangement. And I went ahead and put a pick on that one because it's not very thick of a stem. So now I'm gonna bring that right here to the bottom and make sure that it spills forward. And I'm gonna add the last one right here. And if you can see, it's just going, it's actually letting the eye travel all throughout the arrangement, and I love it. So I'm gonna add this little one right here in the middle, like that. And as you can see, it's just making this S motion. All right, so the next thing I'm going to add is going to be the pumpkins. And for that, I'm gonna get some of my skewers out. You guys know that I like to use these barbecuing skewers into my pumpkin. So I'm gonna go ahead and take one out. And these are made out of styrofoam. You can find them at Shinoda, or you can also find them at any local floral supply store. I'm gonna go ahead and add it right here. Cattywampus like this. And then what I'm going to is I'm gonna cut a little bit of it. I'm gonna dip that into my glue, let it run, and I'm gonna add it right here. Look at that. So that's kind of cattywampus, and now what I'm going to do to give it some character, I'm gonna add the other one, but like this. So to do that, what I need to do is I need to add some picks into my pumpkin. I'm gonna add 2, but I need to cut them short. You wanna make sure that some of this pick goes in, and you also want them to be really close together to make sure that they go into the pumpkin. You dip into your glue, and it's all about the mechanics, you guys. So I'm gonna make sure that it goes like this. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to grab my pumpkin and I'm going to insert it like this. Look at that. How cute is that? All right, I love it. I absolutely love it. So then what I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab some of these sunflowers and I'm gonna use the tallest one first. I'm gonna put a pick with my pick machine. Once again, if you're not doing it to sell, there is no need for that pick, but if you are, you wanna make sure that you put that pick in. I'm gonna add a sunflower right there, like that. Then I'm gonna add one probably over on this side. Let's see, put some of this glue. Like that. Make sure that head is like looking forward. You want to make sure that people see it when they come into the door or through the door. And I think I'm gonna add yet another one up here, but this one is pretty short, so you guys know what I like to do is grab one of these skewers. We're gonna put another piece of tape. It is good to have all of your mechanics ready right here on your drawer. That way when you are looking for tapes or wires or your wire cutters or your scissors, they are close to you And that way you're not looking for them all over the place, which has happened to me before. And I'm trying to be more organized about keeping my materials. And then also once I run out of them, I like to go out and replenish them, so that way I'm not looking for materials that I don't have. I like to do a little inventory once in a while. All right, so I'm gonna add this guy right here on the top. Like that. Oh, it's so cute. All right, so now what I have is some of this flyaway daisy mom, and I want to tuck in some of these guys. So I'm going to put a pick, and I'm going to start over on this side to fill in, like right here. And look, it really helps to extend that shape. And this one I want to make sure that it spills forward like this, so I'm going to give it a bend down. I'm going to grab a little bit of glue. I'm gonna add it right here. See, it kind of starts to give that shape. And this one I'm going to add, let's see. I'm gonna add it over on the other side as well. So make sure you give them a little fluff. And just let your eye dictate where you want all of your florals to be. I'm gonna add it right here. So as you guys can see, I have a cluster of this flower. I have my pumpkins. 3 sunflowers making the triangle, some of this greenery. But now I'm going to add some of this other pick. I have just one, so I'm gonna make sure that I make a few picks out of it and give it a little shape like this. So I'm gonna add some glue. The stem, once again, is pretty thick, so there is no need for you to, like that. And if you have a shorter stem like this, just make sure to go ahead and put a pick so it really latches on. I'm gonna add another one over on this side, like that. And I'm gonna add this one over here, but I'm gonna make sure that I have it all clustered together and add some glue. Like this. All right, I think I love the way this is looking, but I'm going to make a bow and I'll be right back with you. All right, everyone, using our black and white ribbon and our burlap ribbon, I went ahead and did a bow. If you don't know how to make a bow, I'm gonna put a video down below so you can check it out. And I have 3 loops of burlap. I have 3 loops of striped ribbon and some tails. And I went ahead and added it to a longer pick because I needed to know how much of that I'm going to need. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up right here and I'm going to just insert this into the foam. I'm going to find my foam right here. Just push all the way and look at that. Just adjust your ribbons. As you can see, this Cornucopia is absolutely beautiful, bountiful, and very full inspired, and that's what I love. I love to inspire you guys to give it a try. If I can do it, so can you. So now I'm gonna share with you a collection of past wreaths that we've done in the channel, and I'm going to put a description box below with all of the links in the order they appear so you guys can get inspired even further. So if you like any of them, be sure to look in the description box below. Let's watch. All right, everyone, so I just want to show you how beautiful the wreath looks on the front door. And as you can see, the galvanized pumpkin really does add a little touch of modern to this rather rustic wreath. And I love the little touch of the ribbon with the burlap, and then also the black and white check, and all of the little pumpkins and gourds and the white sunflowers really make for a modern looking wreath. Are you enjoying this video as much as I am? If you do, be sure to give it a thumbs up and share with a friend. And then also, I want to take a second to invite you to come and join me on my Instagram and Facebook, all of my social media, for daily Insta stories, behind the scenes, and all of the things you don't get to see daily here on my YouTube channel. The link to all of the social media is going to be in the description box below. Let's get back to the video. Woo, that was a lot of wreaths, and let me remind you, if you like any of them, you can find them in the description box below in the order that they appeared. So now I'm gonna share with you how to create a gorgeous full wreath using a cornucopia in a very unexpected way. Let's watch. Okay, you guys, the very first thing you want to do when creating this wreath is attach your cornucopia to the form. And what I did is with wires, I went ahead and inserted the wires and then pull them to the back and spin them around very tight so that cornucopia is going to stay where it needs to be. I did 3 wires just to make sure that this is going to stay in place once we load it with all the fall goodies. Once you spin them around, go ahead and give them a clip just so the excess is not dangling around, because it's not very visually appealing. But just go ahead and make sure that you do twist those wires very tight, because there's going to be some weight into the cornucopia. Now what I did is I divided the wreath in half and I put it on the lower half right here, and I'm gonna make sure that it spills downward. Then the second thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and insert some of this floral foam, and I'm just gonna push it as far as I can. And once I do that, I like to put a wire through it just to secure it in place. And once we put this wire through the cornucopia, we're gonna make sure that we go forward and then back into the cornucopia, and this will secure that foam in place. All right, then after that, what I need to do is I need to start greening my wreath. And I'm gonna go ahead and go in the motion the cornucopia is going. So the cornucopia is going like this. I'm gonna make sure that I insert all of my foliages and flowers the same way to make sure that they stay once they hang on to their form. What we want to create is a greened effect, and also go ahead and make sure that you green around the cornucopia. I love this look. I created it a few years ago for a client of mine, and she absolutely loved it, so I decided to recreate it with least expensive items for everybody to be able to afford it. Because when you create this with premium flowers and foliages, it can be a few $100s, but if you do it with the same techniques that I'm giving you and just Dollar Tree or Hobby Lobby florals, then it doesn't have to be so expensive. So what I did is I did a layer of greenery going around, and now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do the same but go on the outer edge of the wreath to give it a more full look to it. Now on this round, you want to make sure you skip right here, because that's where all the florals are going to be coming from. So there's really no need to fill in that part of the wreath. I'm just going to make sure that this wreath looks really full, because I love a full wreath look more than I like a sparse look, especially for fall. Fall is all about the bounty of nature, and you know Mother Nature doesn't skimp when it comes down to flowers and foliages during the fall. So, alright, so I have the very first layer down. I have one more down here. I'm gonna go ahead and put it up here. And this is just the greening part. So now what I wanna do is, I wanna go ahead and add some of the flowers next. I always like to insert one flower style at a time. So I'm gonna start with this really pretty orange hydrangea. And I want everybody to save one of each from each flower to be inserted into the cornucopia as well. So I think the bushel has 5 or 6, so we're gonna make sure that we keep one for the cornucopia. And when I do this style, I just go ahead and put in the middle because that is for later. Then I'm gonna add some of these sunflowers that are also from the Dollar Tree. Can you guys believe these flowers are from the Dollar Tree? I cannot even. Look how beautiful they are. And you get 5 blooms for $1. It is so cool. Thumbs up, you guys, if you like the Dollar Tree. I love the Dollar Tree, and I think everybody can have really pretty projects done with Dollar Tree flowers. So thumbs up for that. Always remember to always add one flower style at a time. That way you keep the balance going. So far so good. But it's now time to insert some of the pretty elements that are going to be the drama factor of this wreath. And I'm gonna start with the pumpkins, because then that way we can fill in. So I'm gonna go ahead and add some of these pumpkins, and just make sure that they shoot down when you insert them. Make sure that they are spilling out like this. I'm gonna add one right here in the middle. And then I think I'm gonna add one more. I think I want it down here, like that. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add some of this foliage to cover some of the foam, like the flowers and stuff. Make sure you cover some of this right here. So far so good, but the drama part comes in the shape of longer forms. And what I mean is we have these leftover pics from other projects. You want to make sure that you insert these guys always going down, and make sure they also go in the foam so they stay always going down. Like you can go from down here, and this is what's gonna give you that spilling cornucopia spilling forward look that I love so much. Always try and make these greeneries go coming out like this. And you, at this point, you're just basically filling in these blank spaces, but always make sure that they are spilling downward, so it gives you that effect that the stuff is just shooting out of the cornucopia. I have this really pretty one, and I'm gonna go ahead and give it a bend so it gives me that motion. And I'm gonna go ahead and insert from down here. Now you can find this floral foam at any of your local craft stores, or even at the Dollar Tree. It's very inexpensive. Now with foam, I do like to go buy it at a local craft store because the quality does matter when it comes down to foam. So I always like to splurge on my foam, because the better quality foam hangs on to the materials way better than the inexpensive foam. So I'm gonna go ahead and insert this. I'm gonna actually go from under this like that. What do you guys think so far? Leave me a comment in the comment section below if you are liking this cornucopia look. Alright, let me put some finishing touches and I will show you guys the finished product. Do you guys remember these pics of pumpkins and gourds from the Dollar Tree as well? Well, I'm gonna go ahead and insert a few of these, but I just wanna fluff them right here to give it a little bit more depth and dimension, and to give it a little bit more texture with the pumpkins. I wanna make sure that this cornucopia is as full as I can. And then I'm gonna finish it off with a few more sunflowers that I have left right here, and maybe over here. And then you want to use as much as you can to give it a full look, but you also want the cornucopia to be the focal point. So I think I'm just gonna go ahead and add a few more grasses. one right here in between. At this point, it is all about letting your eye guide you where you need it. And this is what this wreath looks like. Give it a thumbs up if you guys like it. This Cornucopia wreath, it's one of my favorites that I've ever done on my YouTube channel. If you like it, be sure to give it a thumbs up and also share with a friend. Let them know what we're doing here at Ramon at Home for fall. But now I'm gonna share with you the most beautiful wreath that I think I've ever done, and I think you're gonna like it. This is a very good step-by-step instruction tutorial for your fall decorating for your front door. Let me show you how to make a statement. All right, everyone, now that our wreath is all fluffed out, what I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab my deco material and I'm going to cut strips about 12 inches long, and we're gonna do barrels. We're not gonna go through the wreath, however, I'm going to do barrels, and what I wanna do is just tightly pack them like this, pinch around here in the middle and grab 2 of my bristles, and we're gonna give them just a little spin, pulling your barrel forward. And you want to alternate with your brown one and your orange one because you want it to be really full. However, you also want it to be balanced, and the way to do that is to just go ahead and alternate all of those barrels. So you grab one, you pinch right here in the middle, then you go up like this, and this is just gonna give us some color and texture. We're gonna add some foliages and things, so you really won't see much of it. However, it does help you fill in your wreath. It's an inexpensive way to fill in your wreath. So I'm gonna do a few more and I'll be right back to add some other elements. Okay, so you've noticed that I added a whole bunch of barrels, but I skipped an area right here. That's because that's where our pumpkins are gonna go. So I'm gonna add just a few more, and remember to go in and out of the wreath, and that's the way you're going to fill in the best perimeter from it, and it's going to look fuller. And I just like to put down my deco material and go ahead and cut. And what you really do want to do is make sure that you really pack that barrel really tight. It's about 12 inches, but you want to make sure that it's really tight so it does look like a barrel. Then I'm gonna bring this one maybe over here because I have a lot of brown, and just let your eye dictate where it wants to go. Remember, we're going to add some foliage, so this is just for texture. All right, so I'm gonna get all of my other materials ready, and I'll be right back to give you step number 2. Okay, everyone, so now what I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab 2 of these styrofoam pumpkins, and they are different sizes and different materials, but they're both made out of styrofoam. And what I did is I went ahead and added a wire to it, but first I went ahead and poked it with one of my skewers all the way through, and you guys will see that there's a hole already there. So then what you want to do is take that skewer out, and then we're going to go ahead and put the wire in, and there should be a channel there on your pumpkin already to make it easier to pull through. So basically just pull. You want equal amounts. And then what I'm going to do is I want them to be skewed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this pumpkin and put it kind of cut it corner like this, like it's falling from it. And I'm going to grab a skewer, and I'm gonna make sure that I go all the way through both of my pumpkins. Like that, and that's gonna help it stay right there. I'm gonna cut the excess. You know what I think it'd be really pretty is if we put some foliages on the pumpkin. So basically I'm just gonna dig into my glue, fold it in half, like this. And then I'm going to add it right here. I think it'd be really cute if we just add a few of them. And that's going to help it fill in where that skewer went. And look at that, it's going to look like 2 pumpkins staggered together. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my wires and I'm gonna bend down really tightly. Then I'm gonna go ahead and put my pumpkin right here where I want it to go, or my pumpkins. And then I'm going to pull that wire through right here, very tightly. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to swirl that wire into one of my bristles, and then I'm going to bend up, and that pumpkin is not going nowhere anytime soon. Just to double secure it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab yet another one of these bristles, and very tightly I'm going to swirl it like this, That's gonna help hide the wire and then also secure it in place. And so now you have two beautiful pumpkins right here. And as you guys can see right here, I'm missing some of the barrels. So I'm gonna grab some of the barrels and add them right here, and I'll be right back with you. Okay everyone, so this next step is going to be really fun, and what I'm going to do is I'm gonna add a big bow right here and a little bow right here. And the reason why I want to add my bows first is because I'm going to add some foliage. Therefore, I don't want my foliage to overpower the bow. And then also, if you do your bow first, you're gonna make sure that you don't use as much foliage, because you're gonna have to skip the bow. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna give it probably about 12-inch tail, and I want to do a 3-loop. Just like with Christmas decorating, you can do a 2-loop, a 3-loop, or a 1-loop. And for this particular occasion, I'm gonna go ahead and do a 3-loop with this burlap ribbon. And this ribbon is from Hobby Lobby. They have it every year, and I'm just obsessed with it because it really is so easy to work with. Burlap ribbon is really hard to find. I don't know why a good burlap ribbon is so hard to find. All right, so I'm gonna give it another tail right here, like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, without letting go right here, without letting go, I'm gonna introduce my second ribbon, which is going to be this beautiful plaid for fall. And with this one, I'm just gonna go ahead and do a little tail like this, and we're gonna dovetail in a second. And I'm gonna do only a 2-loop without letting go. Remember, what you want to do is you want to go ahead and pinch right there, and then this is not a printed on one side, so you can basically just pinch and then fold like that. And then I'm gonna do a longer tail right here. All right, so that's 2. Then I'm gonna introduce this black and white. I love black and white stripes with everything, you guys, especially for fall. So I'm gonna go ahead and add just a few of the loops. This is not wire, so it's kind of floppy. You have to make smaller loops. And pinching right here, I'm going to go ahead and add, see how that black and white just really adds so much to the ribbon. And I'm gonna add some of this sparkly green. At this point, my hand is getting tight. Without letting go, I'm gonna do a longer tail on this one. I'm gonna pinch right here. I'm gonna go up. Once again, the ones that are not wire, you have to make a smaller loop, because otherwise it's gonna just be too floppy. And I'm gonna go ahead and pinch right there, like this, and I'm gonna give it another longer tail. Then I'm gonna grab my pipe cleaner, and I'm gonna go through all of this and just pull back, make sure that it's really, really tight, and spin around. And once you spin around, it is time to fluff. And that is what makes your bows look beautiful. I always like to pull that last tail back down, so that way all of the tails are facing down. If you don't do that last step, you're gonna have one tail wanting to go up in a different direction. All right, so now that this is all tight like this, what you need to do is fluff your bow and pull all of these cute little tails like this. And the next step is to add it right here to my wreath. You know what, I think I'm gonna add yet another one. The easiest way, if you think that you're short, what you wanna do is you wanna grab these two right here, swirl those two together. Once you get to the point, bend your long stem up and then go around one more time. And that'll give you a longer stem. I know I don't need that long of a stem, but probably this much. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm gonna add this bow right here. Let me close my door. Let me move my cutters so you guys can see what I'm doing over here. I'm gonna pull my hand and look for my finger so that I can pull my bow right here. And then I wanna do the other one. Making wreaths is one of my favorite part of fall, because I love the textures. I love the colors. There we go. I got it. All right, you want to make sure that it's really tight and that all of your ribbons are showing like this. And I just love the tails. I cannot wait for you guys to see. Give me 1 second while I tie this together. You want to fluff all of your bows, making sure that all of them show. Look how cute this is. I just love the little touch of black and white. It really makes it look more elegant. I'm gonna make another one and put it right here, and I'll be right back with you, so stay tuned. All right, you guys, so now we have two bows, a small one right here on the top, catty corner, and then the long one that goes all the way down. And the reason why I like to leave tails like that is because I like it when the wind just plays with them and you approach somebody's door with a tail like that. It's just so beautiful. I love it. That's why I like to leave some short, some long, and especially these little ones. You want to make sure that they are super long. That way, they really dance in the air. And with these particular ones, I don't like to dovetail, but just cut in an angle so they look finished, because they're so small. You don't want to really dovetail. Okay, so I want to show you that I have two different types of foliage. I have this really pretty fall foliage. However, it's a longer stem, so what you need to do is you need to cut it into little stems. And the way I like to do that is just adding like one on the top, then two on the bottom, and that way it's going to make a longer stem and it's going to really show into your wreath. So basically I got 1, 2, 3, 4 out of one long stem by adding, look at this. And the good thing is that if you cut them all at once, then you don't have to go out and cut them and take more time. So I'm going to just go ahead and finish this right here. Perfect. All right, and then also you might want to just go ahead and give him a little fluff. Like this guy just fell off. Oh, I think it goes right here. I'm gonna save it for later. Anyway, so I have also some other type of greenery that I have from past projects, and I like different kinds of foliages. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna start with this green right here, and I like to mix the green and the fall foliages together. But remember to always just add one type of foliage at a time, because that's what's gonna give it the most balance to your wreath. So I'm just going to go ahead and go on a circular motion. Remember, when you're making a wreath, you have to go on a clock motion or counterclock. It depends if you are left-handed or not, because that's what's going to really make your wreath look cohesive and balanced. So just make sure you do one foliage at a time and one way at a time as well. You want to go in and out. I'm gonna really accent the pumpkins and the bowl right here. So I want to make sure that I get closer to that particular area of the wreath. And if you really want to secure it, just go ahead and grab one of those bristles and just twist it around. I'm gonna move these guys over here so you guys can see what I'm doing. Remember, always one type of foliage at a time. And you don't have to really worry about how much of it you have, because there's different kinds of foliage that is going to go on the wreath. So just make sure that you have enough to go one time around. I'm gonna add this one right here. All right, so now I'm gonna add some of these that I have. It is a leftover from another project as well. I like to recycle. You guys know that I like to recycle my materials. I'm gonna add a few more. When you have only a few, so make sure that you do a triangle so it looks like you have the same foliage all the way around. I'm gonna add this guy right here by adding 1, 2, 3. So there's a triangle. All right, so now I'm gonna get this out and I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna go up on the top first, right here, and look how that's really filling in. Remember, we also do have some flowers that we're gonna add. So I'm going to add this one right here, going all the way around. And I really love the way this foliage ties in with the pumpkins and the ribbons without really overpowering. That's why I wanted to cut them a little bit short. And add this one right here by the pumpkin. Remember, this is our focal point, so we really want to take care of it. I feel like this one's too long, so I'm gonna cut it into 2. These wire cutters, you guys, are the best wire cutters in the world. They really cut so easily. And remember also, another tip I can give is like, go all the way out here, because this is where we don't get to see. We see this side because we're closer to it, but we really don't get to see this side. So just make an intention to really go in there. And then what goes up must come down. If you just continue to repeat yourself those instructions, what goes up must come down. What happens on the left happens on the right. And for wreath making, just go in a clock motion or counterclock motion to have balance. Well, this also is pretty long, so I'm gonna cut it. I want the foliages to really fill in, so they need to be cut short. Okay, so the next step is going to be to add some florals, and I'm going to untie these bundles of sunflowers from Shinoda Design Center. And I love the fact there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. And look how gorgeous these are. So pretty. So to these ones, I'm gonna give them just a little cut right here to the stem. And I'm going to go once again, clock motion. I'm gonna start right here where my little bow is. And you wanna make sure that they're a little longer so they really have some fly and they can stay in the air. So I'm gonna add one right there. And remember to work in sets of 3s, 2s, and 1s. So I'm gonna cut yet another one. And then I'm gonna add it right here so there's 2 together. And the way this wreath works is because you do kind of have like 2 focal points, one here with a bow, then one here. So I'm gonna add 2 right here, then I'm gonna add 3 to this side, okay? So that's all the sunflowers that we're going to add to this wreath. You don't have to add all of them when you get them just because you got them. You can save them for another project, which is what I'm going to do with the leftover ones. But I'm going to add one right here. Then I'm gonna grab yet another one. I'm gonna cut it a little short because it's too long and I don't want it to fly away way too far from it. However, I do want to make sure that it's right here with all of the pumpkins. Look at that, and then I'll add one here and give them a little bend like this so that way, well, they look like they're popping out like this. I'm gonna add one right here. Look how pretty. It just really adds like the focal points that I wanted. Okay, so I'm gonna have 2 left. I'm gonna save those for another project. Then what I have is this other really pretty peony. It looks like a fall peony. And I'm gonna just go ahead and give it a little fluff like this. I'm gonna cut it a little short. Oh, I need to remove the tag. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm gonna add one right here. And making sure that I have enough glue to go down. The more glue you have on your stem, then the more it's gonna hang on to the form. And there you go. How pretty is that? Make sure that it's right there. And that's just gonna help us fill in some of the spots. I'm gonna grab one of these short ones and I'm going to add this right here. Just like that. I have another short one, so I'm gonna add it right here with these pumpkins. Give it a little bend. Make sure that I get all of my foliages like this and add it right there. How cute is this? All right, I feel like we can add, there's a lonely one right here, so I'm gonna add another one to make more of a statement, making sure that I get plenty of glue on this stem. And there I'm gonna add right there. And you know what, I have another one and I feel like I could use it right on the other side, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut it a little bit short. And then I'm going to add it right here. Okay, so I love the way this is looking. However, I feel like it does need some ribbon tails. And for that, what I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab this really pretty black and white striped ribbon. I'm gonna fold it in half like this. And I'm gonna dovetail. You guys have seen me do this before. You pinch right here, like so. And then you grab your skewers with a little wire. You can find these skewers with a little wire at any floral or craft supplier. Shinoda also has them, so if you need them, I really recommend you get them. What I'm going to do is I'm gonna just dip that stem into the glue, be generous with it, and then what I'm going to do is I'm gonna open up right here. Then I'm just gonna put that right there, and look, that black and white really pops. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna do yet another one. I wanna do all the ribbons. So basically just fold right here in half. I'm gonna cut in an angle, pinch really tight, and get one of your skewers. Get your little wire and swirl it around really tight so it stays in place. You open the tails and then you put some glue on it. If you like it, then you should put some glue on it. I'm gonna go right here. Okay everyone, so I added all of the ribbon tails, and as you guys can see, it's looking really full and I am in love with it. And so now what I'm going to show you how to add is these tiny little ribbon bows. So basically, because this ribbon is so thin and it's not wired, what you want to do is you want to make a 3-loop bow where it's just floppy enough. So I want to say probably about a 4-inch loop, and you want to do 3 tails or 3 loops, and you make sure that you twist that really good so that way it really shows. And I love this lime green with fall. I just think it's so pretty with the black and white. So you cut in an angle, then what you do is you grab your little skewer and then you put it at the end right there. And with a little wire, you want to go ahead and pull really tight, and then you just swirl it around the skewer. That way it's really tight, so you have a 3 bow with a long tail. And then what you need to do is just go ahead and dip it into your glue. And I'm going to add this one right here, like that, just to give it that little pop of green. I have one already made right here, and I'm going to dip into my glue. And I'm going to add this one over here, just like that. Remember, this is the focal point right here. All right, so far so good. Now the only thing that I have left to add is this really shiny pumpkins, and I'm going to put it right here. I'm going to add, so just dip into my glue, let it go down, and I'm gonna go up like that. Make sure the hangs on right there. Then what I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab this area right here, dip into that glue. Aren't these pumpkins so cute? Then go ahead and add right there. And then we're gonna do the triangle. We're gonna go opposite right here. I'm gonna cut this a little bit shorter, and I'm gonna add it right here. All right, so now I want to share with you a beautiful fall wreath for your front door that doesn't need any glue and is absolutely airy, beautiful, very bountiful, and I really do think that you're gonna like this one as well. It's super easy, I'm telling you. Let's watch. All right, you guys, the materials we're gonna use for this particular project are a wreath form that I bought at one of my local craft stores. I think this is the 18-inch Christmas basic wreath form. Then I'm gonna use a garland. This is a fall garland that I already had. I'm gonna use various picks of foliage as well as various picks of florals from the Dollar Tree. I have these really pretty mums and also some sunflowers that I'm gonna use. And then also I'm gonna use a pre-made bow that I already made that we're gonna attach to one of the sides, and just various leftover things that you may have already on your fall stock. It's very important for me that you guys save some of your items that you don't use. That way you can use them in projects like this. Alright, so the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and attach this wreath. I'm going to just go ahead and lay it on it first. You want to lay it like this. And then with the same bristles, you want to go ahead and attach in a few places just so it doesn't come out. And you want to go as far down on the form as you can, so you can extend already the look and the look of your wreath. So once it's like this, you go ahead and give it a fluff, just a light fluff, because we're gonna add so many things. I just wanted to be able to see some of that texture. The next thing that I'm going to add is some of this leftover eucalyptus that I have from previous projects. And keep in mind that we're gonna go in a circular motion, so I want everything to come out like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and add one of these right here to give it a little bit of length. And the thing I like about this look is because it's so floppy and so messy, and it looks just like somebody just picked it from the fields and just put it on a wreath. So I'm gonna go ahead and put one right here, and just like I said, just with the bristles you're attaching to your form, and just make sure that you secure it onto the form with the little bristles. As you can see, we're doing that motion, and I have a third one over here. So I'm going to go ahead and I want it to come out a little bit more, and just with the bristles, I'm going to go ahead and attach right here. So we're trying to cover that greenery. We want some of it to show, but we want to cover some of it as well. Then I have this particular branch, and it can be any foliage branch. And what I do is I give it this little round motion That way it's on the form of the wreath, and I want this guy to be right about here. And then with the same bristles, you're gonna go ahead and attach to it. And don't worry if it doesn't come out the way you wanted the first time, because once it is attached, you can go in there and fluff. And remember, we're going for a really floppy, very airy look on this wreath. I'm gonna go ahead and add one right here. I'm gonna use some of these bristles to attach to it. And it's amazing how such a tiny form can create this big look. All right, then I think I'm gonna add one of these leftover ones right here. And just like I said, just go ahead and attach with those bristles. That is the secret to this look, you guys. And this also can be done for Christmas. And the good thing about this is because once fall is gone, you can take all of this and reuse your form because you're not using any glue. You're basically just attaching. Okay, so I want to go ahead and put this guy right here. So it comes out just like this. And go ahead and attach with these greenery bristles. Alright, so you can fluff later. I have one more right here. Let me see, where do I need it? Put it right here. I'm gonna go ahead and add it right here to keep covering some of that greenery. Just use the bristles to attach. So the next step is I'm gonna go ahead and add some of these bushels of flowers. And I have 3 of the sunflowers. So what I'm gonna do with the 3 of the sunflower, I'm gonna create a triangle, and I'm gonna go ahead and add the first one right here. And then of course I'm going to go ahead and use those bristles to attach to some of the branches of the flowers right here to secure it, so if it's windy it doesn't come out flying out. Then I'm going to go ahead and put one right here, and so we're going to put the third one over here to create that triangle motion. And just go ahead, I'm not going to get tired telling you guys to attach with the bristles, and as long as you swirl around the bristles a few times, then it's not going to go anywhere. I've done this many times in years past, and trust me, they stay. Then I have one of these little accent flowers, so I'm just gonna attach right here and go in the back and circle some of those bristles around so it doesn't move. We did this also for Christmas so many times. Like I said, then you can recycle that form. You don't have to be attached to it. And then also you can recycle all the foliages and all of the things. So I'm gonna go ahead and add this guy right here and go in the back and just circle around my stem. Alright, so far so good. Like I said, then you can go ahead and fluff these flowers and make it look fuller. Then what I have is I have some of this magnolia foliage, which is a bigger foliage. I'm going to go ahead and put some of that also for texture and use some of these little greeneries to attach to it. It's super easy, super simple, and it just gives you so much texture. This wreath is full texture. And I like how, like I said, how airy and loose it is. Or I have one more, I have 2 more magnolias, so I'm gonna add one right here. You could also, if you wanted to make it permanent, you could also go ahead and dab a little bit of glue on it, dip it in your glue pen, and that way it stays like that and you can just save it. Alright, so far so good. Then the next thing I wanna do is I'm gonna go ahead and attach some of these pre-picked pumpkins. And I'm going to go ahead and attach one right here. Just swirl some of those little picks. What I like about these pumpkins is because they have these rivets and they really help to stay where they need to stay. So I'm going to add one more right here. Like that. And swirl around. And then I'm going to go ahead and add some of these bigger sunflowers. Like this. For better show. I think I have another one over here. So I'm gonna add this guy up here and just swirl some of those bristles around to secure. And then I have some of these little pumpkin picks from the dollar store. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the tag off of this one because we think that's tacky. So we're gonna go ahead and just place this inside right here, like that. And don't forget to just go around those bristles. And I like these picks because they just add so much texture. They have the pumpkin, they have the berries, they have the foliage, like that. And then I'm gonna go ahead and add this guy right here. And then I'm gonna swirl some of these greenery around this. It stays right there. Let me see. There you go. And then to finish it off, I have this bow that I have pre-made. And I don't want to put it on the top and cover some of that, and I don't want to put it on the bottom, but I'm going to put it on the side. And I have pre-wired this. I just put a wire through it, and I'm going to go ahead and put this guy right here and just go to the back and secure, and it's all around. And then you can fluff your bow. Just a little texture, a little sparkle, and voila. Alright you guys, well that's all I have for today. I really do hope you enjoy all of these fall wreath ideas and DIYs on how to make a statement on your front door this fall 2022. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, share it with a friend, and let them know what we're doing here at Ramon at Home this fall season. We're just getting started and they will not want to miss what's coming up for Christmas. But let's not talk about that right now. I want to take a second one more time to thank this week's new members, Rebecca Shaw, Sharia Johnson, and Lynn Busby. Thank you ladies so much for being a new member. And if you want to become a member, be sure to check the link down below or just click the join button somewhere here on the screen under the video or on the main page. It's just a little button that says join. Thank you guys so much for watching. Consider subscribing. You can watch more videos right now. Until next time, bye.